Okay, thank you very much, Frans, for accepting our invite to our member stories.
Yeah, pleasure.
Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Frans Bolk, and I'm the founder of Mob.ID. It's a mobile identity. It's based on the legal identity of a person. Other companies do that as well, but the difference we have is that we base it on PKD, and we're not using AI to do that. Because AI gives you an opinion. It says something like, we think it could be real with so much percentage or so much distance or whatever. We use PKD, that's electronic encryption methodology that verifies the authenticity and the integrity of the document itself. So we know 100% sure the document is real and that nobody has made some changes in it. So we give a fact with mathematical proof. That is in a sense the difference. And from that, since we are sure, we of course read the complete passport and can use that data. Mm-hmm. And from that we generate a new identity and store that back on the phone. So it is also a fully decentralized identity, like your passport. Passport is a decentralized identity, and that is what we use an identity card, and we store it back on the phone. So the phone, again, because it's a closed loop, has the same status as the passport. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty of it, and you can use that.
Okay, so let's get to know each other a bit more. Let me think about it. What are your favorite shows on Netflix?
Well, I don't have a favorite Netflix show, but I like to watch two types of programs. Mm-hmm. One is the type of program where I don't need to think, and I just watch, and then I can think about what I'm doing or need to do, and all that. I'm developing something or making an architect, something like that. So I don't want to think about a series. And the other one is series with plots in it, intrigues in it, where you watch and see, hey, how's that, and about a culture, Chinese, Japanese culture, with the caste systems and stuff like that. I find that interesting, but also movies like the First World War, also Im Westen ist nichts. I just watch it. It really gives a perspective from the person itself. Mm-hmm. From school, taken from school to military training to the front. And there you run around and being shot or not, and that is an interesting movie. Mm-hmm. It gives really some insight.
And what's your favorite app on your phone?
Oh, that's the green button, with the phone in. Green button. Yeah, I do app. We use Skype internally. When I don't have the Skype addresses of the people, I use the green button. Mm-hmm. To talk with people. Hey, how are you? What's up? And that's another thing. When I have Skype or Teams or whatever, you can look at somebody and talk to somebody, and you see an expression and whatever. It's. I always start off with, I'm interested in you. So hey, especially with my people, of course, in Odessa. Hey, how are you doing? Everything's secure. Be smart, be safe is what I always say. The green button and the blue button.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where did you get the inspiration from? How was this idea born?
Well, that was with the Ministry of Justice. They are responsible for the electronic part of the passport and the ID card. And working with these guys and talking with these guys, we got a partnership with them, and we have the software that they are using. But also, not only the software, but also the content. And that is extremely important. You can have software, but if you don't have the content, you cannot do anything. So, but as software, I can also make new passports. So I was looking at it and said, okay, I can check the electronic passport. I can make a new passport electronically. So if I store that on the phone of the user, he suddenly has a passport on his phone. That's neat. So that started off the idea. And then, of course, you have a lot of other considerations, like do I want to give everybody my complete passport? No way. You want to keep it private, you decide who reads what. And that is what we also developed in there, just to make sure that it always is completely verifiable, that identity, because this is of the utmost importance. We generate a new identity for a specific organization. Say you are a bank customer, you make a bank identity. And that identity will also be stored on the phone, and that is completely verifiable. So you have some other approaches that say we have the passport and we derive data from that and give that. No, you cannot verify that. So what we do is we do it based on a verified identity. We make a new identity, and that new identity is completely verifiable again. So each time you use, we check, hey, is it authentic? Is the integrity okay? You know, is the person with this passport or with this identity and whatsoever? You know, and these are the steps we are going through. That's in a general way describing what we have. And there's a lot of technology behind it, but I think also the main difference is that we don't approach it from a technology point of view. Yeah, we do technology, of course, but we approach it from a process flow. Because identity, I think, is a process and not an app. Yeah, an app does only one thing, can be hacked, and you can do everything with it. But if you can do a process and see and do what needs to be done, then suddenly you have a complete solution. And that's exactly what Mob.ID does.
Okay. And right now, what are the markets that you're serving, and what's your customer persona?
In a sense, the regulated market. Of course, banks are our main target, but they take a bit longer to decide. You have the neobanks, you have also the crypto exchanges. There is a new regulation coming, and they need solutions like this. They need to establish the identity, and they have to do a proper AKYC and AML. And we have all that in that process. We've made an SDK for Apple and Android, so you can make the banks or the customers can make their own application, and it works with our backend. And the backend is where we do the processing, because we don't trust the phone. So we take all that. We do verification there, of course, but I don't want any faulty data going over the line to our data center. So we do the verification there as well. And if you pass that there locally, then it's sent to the backend, and that is where we do the real checking. And you pass or not.
Okay. And how long have you been around? How big is your team right now? I know you have a team in Odessa as well.
Yes, it started off in Odessa. The team was about 12 people, technical people, development. Now it's slimmed down to 6 people. Because of the threatening war in Ukraine, we moved the data center. And now we have data center here in Amsterdam. But of course, the war started, or just before the war, people fled from Odessa. So now I have a team partly in Odessa and partly in Turkey, Spain, in the Netherlands, in Germany. I mean, they are a bit spread. And it's a kind of a surreal situation when I talk with my people in Odessa. They refuse to leave. Because they say, hey, it's my country and I want to stay here. And when I talk to them, we have situations like, you and me sitting down and having a chat and drinking a cup of coffee, nothing to worry about. Then suddenly an air raid goes off, and sometimes they don't even react because they don't hear anything else. And then we have 10, 20 air raids per day, so I don't care. And then suddenly you see something like, okay, listen, oh, somebody, and then they close the laptop and they're off, taking shelter. And the other time, and this was really surreal, I was talking with my product manager. He's not part of the development team, but he's in Odessa. And I was looking and I said, hey, it's a new background. And then I suddenly heard an espresso machine. So he was sitting in the coffee shop drinking a cup of coffee, he had his laptop with him, and he's working there, relaxed, as if nothing was happening. but they are at war, and that is what it makes it surreal. You know, I get a story that my project manager calls me and says, well, her grandmother was in Mariupol, and it was a very strange time, of course, for her. She didn't have contact with her. And suddenly she had contact with a neighbor of her grandmother, and after a couple of weeks she called me and said, hey, we found my grandmother, she's now here in Odessa. So she was safe, and she was able to travel to Odessa to her granddaughter, and now she's living there. You know, and that gives me sometimes the shivers, you know. It's sometimes it's also, especially in the beginning when it started, well, we shed some tears there. It really is really, yeah, we cannot imagine that. See, now I'm already filling up.
No, I understand that. But so just to keep the topic on the team, when you're hiring new people, what is it that you're usually looking for?
They must have their own opinion. They must be proactive. Yeah, that in a sense that's it. Of course, you look at the experience and stuff like that. But these are the normal things. But this is something I'm looking at, and can I work with him? No, is there some kind of click?
Yeah.
That's what I look for.
Okay, some chemistry.
Yeah, some chemistry, but also a person who has an opinion. No, also I'm looking for people that are not thinking in problems, but are thinking in solutions. And this is, I nearly forgot it, this is the most important thing. This is something my father learned me. When I had a problem as a kid, he said, well, Yves, you know, if you have a solution, you need help with that, come to me, I will help you. And that's exactly what I learned my sons. And they have both have their own business, and they are successful with it. And you know, they never see problems. They see something that needs to be solved, and they do it any way possible. Straight through, over it, under it, left, right, doesn't care. Solve it. And that is the approach. And that is also what I'm looking for the people, in the people, that they do.
And coming to a bit of a different topic here, the regulation environment is always a bit challenging. So what are the regulations that you, right now, that you have to always keep an eye on? Well,
there are, we work globally, and so there are different types of regulations. Of course, we have the data center regulation certifications, the ISO 27K, the 9K, you know, that's the normal disaster recovery, and that for us is the normal business. But of course, we also have the ETSI, but we also have the GDPR to work with. We have that for the banks, you know, the FMA, and you name it. We keep an eye on it, also for developments. But I'm not saying that we are going to certify for all of them, because what we do is identity. And the identity is a process that is a certification, no, not a certification, it's a norm that is established by 194 countries, and they all recognize legally all the identities of the identity documents of that country. So that is normalized around the world. That is legal. It's even in our law. No, our legal identity is being described in the law. Even the security element we are using in the passport is protected by law. It's described in Dutch law, it's described in European law, it's described in every local law of the 194 countries. So that is the mechanism we use, and that is what we are following, because yeah, there are changes there, but as you can imagine, with 194 countries, those changes go slowly, because every one of the 194 countries needs to okay it. And that takes a long time. That can take about 10 years. So for us, that change is very slow in establishing the identity. The answer the question, who are you legally? We verify the document. We know 100% because we check it against the source. So I check it against the source of, let's say you're from Nigeria. I check it against the Nigerian source and say, okay, is this passport made by Nigeria? Yes, it is. Okay, no problem. Has something been changed in that document? No, it hasn't. Okay, is it valid? Yes, it's valid. Okay, good. So now I have the identity document, the identity established, legal identity. Is this person belonging to that passport? And is he or she at the present at this moment, this genuinely present as it is called? And if we establish that with liveness detection, then we say, okay, I have legal identity, that person belongs to that passport. Okay, so now I have an identity. And for most organizations, financial institutes, they say the second question is, do I want to do business with that person? So you have the political exposed person, the watch list, you know, all these checks. We partnered with Refinitiv. I think that they are one of the best around to do that. So we integrated that to answer that second question. And now comes the biggest advantage, because with us it's one process. So when you once have that identity, you can use it to log in and do your transactions with your bank account. But then when you do a transaction, suddenly you're saying, okay, this person was verified in the past and he was okay, he or she was okay, but is he now still okay? Is he in the PEP list? Is he in the terrorist? Is he in the Russian list? Is he in the whatever list? And when that clears, and you're not on one of those lists, you say, okay, go ahead. And our biggest advantage is it's in one seamless process. So if you look to traditional processes with banks, you see that normally you do the identification, you have a token, you know, you log in, and then they go to another process, and then they do the AML. But a couple of years back, a bank had a limit to that. They could only do, if I'm not wrong, 3,000 verifications for AML. But hey, if you have 10,000 verifications, you need to pass 7,000 automatically because you cannot handle them. That gave them a hefty fine. And with us, it's in one process. Yeah. So that relieves the bank. Yeah. And then when we give them the okay for this, then they pick it up. Then probably they will have some other checks. And when they okay that,
yeah, I understand. Okay, so what is the one suggestion that you would give? Imagine you have other founders that have a company that is more or less in the same stage as yours and are facing quite similar challenges to yours. What is the suggestion that you would give them to overcome those challenges?
Get your commercial processes running as soon as possible, and see to it that you have the right salesperson. It can be yourself or somebody else, but get it, because that is extremely important. Yeah. You need that first customer, you need a second one, the third one, the fourth one, the fifth one. After that, it will expand. But you need the first 5 customers. Yeah.
So what kind of suggestion would you give to someone who is at the very start, someone who wants to start their own company? What is the kind of mentality that you always give as a suggestion on having?
This is a tough one, I think. First of all, you must make sure of your idea. Can it work? How should it work? Who is going to use it? You know, is it a solution? Know your competitors. Who is in that market? Because all these questions are going to be asked. If you go out, you must find people who agree with you and say, yeah, that is nice, I would like to use it. You must find the companions, maybe you're launching customers to do that. But for the person itself, you have more downs than ups. And so make maximum use of the ups. Also for yourself, it's a mindset. You know, because there will be failure, and there will be many failures, but also will be successes. And really use that. Really also as a mindset for yourself, you know, to feel confident in what you do. You overcome it. You know, it's That is something you need to have. So then you get the drive to do it. Persevere.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
In just a few words, how would you describe Mob.ID?
A few words. Make it intelligible. Yeah? It's a mobile identity, fully decentralized and verified, truly verified. A partner of us said he used a word we all know, but I never heard it in relation to what we do. He said, what you have is a kosher identity. I like that. I like that. It really is a kosher identity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and just in a few sentences, what's next for Mob.ID?
What's next? Yeah, we have some versions in plan. What we do now in the back office when we connect a new client, we do things manually. Now we are working on it to automate it. Because we register every company, it's multi-tenant, and I follow the official rules. So we really register. We know for sure that the organization is existing. We register the people that can nominate other people. Now we get the chain working, so they can manage their own environment. What we also now do is when you do a transaction, at that moment, without the identity of the person, we know where that transaction is being done by IP address and the geolocation. So we get a kind of a hotspot analysis. We already made a POC for that, and yeah, they did it in Odessa. So we had the city of Odessa, and you see some hotspots in there that identity is being used. But we disconnected it from the identity itself. So really it's only the positioning information, so we can see where we need to expand or whatever.
Thank you so much for sharing with us about Mob.ID.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Thank you for giving me the time to do this, and
sure.
for your good guidance in it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.